Alright, subcourse QM 5092 Edition A, Direct General Petroleum Operations, Army Institute of Professional Development, Army Correspondence Course Program. Lesson 1, Petroleum Operations. Introduction to Self-Development is one key of the components of the Leader Development Program plan with the progressive sequential program followed by the leaders to enhance the state of the military competence, consider the individual study, research, professional reading, practice, self-assessment, earn self-development concept of the NCO of the Army professional has responsibility to remain current in all phases of the military occupational specialist. Parts A, duties to supervise requirements of petroleum supply specialist, supervise the receipt of the Oregon County dispensing and issuing shipping of the bulk package petroleum fuel, oil, lubricant products. Inspection petroleum marking vehicles, equipment, and supervising sample gauging to determine petroleum requirements, preparing accounting summaries, monitoring on environmental control programs, supervising operation, maintenance, petroleum distribution, suspension of equipment in Class 3 supply, supervising operation, maintenance, petroleum equipment used by combat arms unit, training combat units, training combat arms personnel to perform fuel handlers, supervising terminal operation procedure, preventive maintenance check services, equipment, direct pipeline operation, direct tank vehicles, conducting testing, interpreting test results for quality surveillance, permit, training personnel, and regulation procedure related to the confined space entry. Part B, military petroleum products, gasoline, automotive mill, G3056, combat MOGAS is red in color. The type of the MOGAS is R, type 1, temperature 0 degrees Fahrenheit in normal climates. Type 2, average temperature below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, very cold climates. Aviation fuel, AV gas is world's aviation gasoline. AV gas is led to the fuel AV gas is primary fuel all reciprocating aircraft engines. Jet fuel is different from aviation gasoline provided because it does not contain fuel diesel oil. Diesel fuel oil, two general classifications: diesel oil intended for the ship over those intended for the general purpose. Fuel oil marine issue for the submarines and other ship operation temperatures above 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Fuel oil, diesel fuel, the general purpose of oil fuel supplied with a shovel grade depending on use of the fuel oil. Diesel VVF 100 will be used primary fuel oil compression ignition engines, the gas turbine engines other than those aircraft systems. Diesel fuel is procured and for the use of automotive diesel compression ignition engines. Diesel fuel depends entirely on the heat compression of the ignition that may be in play for the light burner oil. Diesel fuel 2 is regular grade, most commonly used in the military vehicles. Diesel fuel 1 is used in cold climates. Diesel fuel A is Arctic, used in extreme cold climates. Burner fuels. Burner fuels are intended for use only in various types of fuel burning equipment under the various temperature conditions. Burner fuels are burned under boiler and furnace to generate power with the heat with a different grade of the burner fuels. Lubricants are oil with the grease that even to reduce the friction between the moving surface of the heat removed, heat generated, and the equipment being lubricated. Special items are those which specific tasks only the item that does not fall with the previous three categories will specific item. Some of the more common solvents are listed. Solvents are either the cleaning tools, dry cleaning cloths. SD1, SD2 are most common. 1-3. Hydraulic fuels are made with the grade of the hydraulic fluid used for the various purposes of the hydraulic brakes, hydraulic jacks, hydraulic systems on forelegs, and special purpose of oils, cutting oil with the cutting steel, the insulating oils, used in transformers, etc. Example, the special purpose oil. Other are antifreeze colorants and protective compounds. Waxes are some of the examples. Part C, general petroleum. Terminology. Class 3 petroleum oil lubricants are included with the petroleum fuels, lubricant, hydraulic, insulating oil with the temperature, protective liquid, compressed gas, the chemical product with the liquid coolants, de-icing, antifreeze compound together with the compound components additive to such product. The Class 3 is broken down into two major groups. Class 3 petroleum chemical product used in support aircraft. Class 3 Class 3W ground protective chemical for the product within support ground marine equipment. Bulk fuel product with bulk fuel products of fuels, lubricant, etc. was normally transported by pipeline, rail, tank, cargo, tank, truck, barger, tanker, any other product stored in tanks containing having a capacity of 500 gallons or less than 500 gallon collapsible containers are considered to be packaged. Packaged petroleum fuels. Fuels are stored, transported, and issued in containers having a capacity of 500 gallons or less, or 500 gallon collapsible containers. Packaged petroleum products other than fuels, generally lubricants, grease, and specialties items that are stored and transported, issued in containers having capacity of 55 gallons or less. Modes of transportation: pipelines, a line of pipe with a pumping station, storage tanks, accessory equipment for the movement of the petroleum products, tanker, the seagoing vessel, the transportation of the liquids, Coastal tankers have less draft depth of the ship below the waterline of the ocean-going tankers. Tanker cars may be used as supplemental pipeline transportation of the petroleum products when the rail facilities are available. The general tanker car should be used exclusively to carry one grade of product that is not possible. If it's not possible, the car must be inspected, clean, and necessary to be low for the avoid of the contamination. Tanker cars vary capacity of the design. Used the petroleum products usually have one compartment ranging in capacity with 6,000 to 16,000 gallons. Some tanker cars, however, they have more than one compartment. Many transport more than one product at a time. Tank vehicles used most often the petroleum distribution theater operation of the U.S. Army has two major types of the tank vehicle, the tanker truck, the tanker semi-trailer. The tank semi-trailers can be found further divided into two subtypes: the fuel servicing tank semi-trailers and fuel transport tank semi-trailer. Fuel servicing means the vehicle is used not only to move the fuel to transfer in bulk containers, but also to dispense the fuel to combat vehicles, aircraft, or other containers. Also, fuel servicing tank semi-trailers have filters separated fuel supporting. On the other hand, means the vehicle will use only move fuel and transport in bulk containers. The type of the semi-trailer has no filter, no hose, reels, or dispensing nozzles. Here, there is a three-means method of transportation of petroleum products by even the aircraft aerial bulk fuel delivery system and the system even the 3,000-gallon aerial payload tanks, the pumping modules mounting on modular platforms. To convert the aircraft quickly to the aerial tanker, the system has offload capacity with 1,200 gallons per minute. Can be loaded on into the truck bladders and other containers. Extreme emergency of the other aircraft. Wet wing defueling, a means of the transferring fuel of the fixed wing aircraft fuel tanks, collapsible brick tanks, semi-trailers. The methods allow the aircraft to be and carry internal load of the dry cargo plus aviation turbine fuel without requiring additional aircraft to provide fuel support. The external loads. This method involves transporting petroleum in 500-gallon fabric drums using single-wing loads. Using helicopters, this method enables the obstacle to overcome and hinder other modes of transportation. Petroleum peculiarities. Fuel are lighter than water. When mixed with water, the fuel will float on the top of the water. Petroleum fuel rapidly expand with the temperature, increase with the contract with the temperature, decrease with it as the fuel expands due to the high temperature light and are lost when heated. The fuel begin with a cool and contract warm. Water accumulates in the fuel through condensation. As petroleum staff, NCO, the major ongoing responsibility involved with the vapor freeing with the cleaning of the petroleum storage tanks and rail cars, tanker trucks. Safety of the utmost importance with performing any of the operation dealing with petroleum. Various methods that stores the following information concerned with the general purpose and responsibility of the determining of the personnel with having to do with the federal regulation for the governing tank cleaning operation. Sources of hazards. Storage tank and the tanker cars, tanker trucks have been in service with maintained containing residual dangerous materials when left over the transportation hazardous cargoes. Forced air ventilation. Forced air ventilation shall be sufficient to keep the atmospheric concentration flammable materials below 10% of the lower flame and below limit with a lower explosive limit, whichever determines used locally. Appropriate respirator will be provided. You should be in addition to providing forced ventilated into the forced ventilation does not occur, maintain acceptable respiratory conditions. Attendant to every area of supervisor shall designate the employee to maintain communication with by the employer specified by the means of the employee working in the tanks to ensure the safety. The attendant may not only appear any permanent entry, confined space to rescue an entry or of any other reason unless the authorized by rescue for the procedure, even if then only after the calling of the rescue team being relieved by the attendant to another worker. Communications observation. The communications between attendant and driver shall be maintained throughout the entry. Method of the communication must be specified with the permit. Include the voice-powered radio tapped and radio wrapping codes on the tank while single tugs over the rope of the attendants observe the work of the activity. Shipping, grinding, welding, the spring, etc. will require deliberate operate continual normal. The activities are generated in much noise, but the necessary hearing the protection makes communication very by voice difficult. Rescue procedures. Acceptable rescue procedures include the entry of the team of the employee rescue, view of the public emergency service, the procedure of the breathing, and the tank of the Army permits. The area permits specified with the procedure available. The area supervisor makes the final decision based on the circumstances. Certain the injuries may make up the necessary branch for the tank of the removal of the person rather than risk additional injury with the removal through existing manhole. However, the supervisor may determine no breaching procedure used for the rescue to violate the terms of the entry of the permit. The instance of the tank must be reached by a cutting of the torch. The tank surface to be cut must be free of volatile combustible coatings within 4 inches of the cutting line, with the atmosphere within tank must be below the low fuel level limit. Retrieval line and harness. The retrieval line and harness generally required to own with the stand with the use of them practically use the tank with the integral configuration of the tank with the internal bath of the other structure would prevent the rescue of the hauling of the injury of the entry of the however the unlift of the rescue proceed with the call of the breathing of the tank rescue with the rescue team shall be trained in use of the retrieval lines harness of the removal of the injury employed throughout the manholes. Control of the atmospheric hazard for the energy of the tank shall be brought into the air with the tank entry authorized only after the tank is emptied, cleansed, and without employee entry with any other residual purge of the potential atmospheric hazards. Permits. An entry permit valid up to 1 year shall be issued with the authorization entry into the tank of the trailer, dry bulk trailer, the truck. In addition, with a pre-entry clear requirement, the permit shall require the employee safeguards specify the new fabrication of the construction permit areas. Authorization. Only the areas the supervisor may authorize the employee to enter in the tank, trailer, dry bulk trailer, truck with a permit area. The area supervised must be determined that the entry of the permit required that has been made before authorizing entry. Lesson 2: Implementing Petroleum Fire and Safety Program.